With a vote before the Parliament to reduce the voting age to 16, youth votes are now at the forefront of a lot of people's minds. To answer some more questions on the topic, I'm joined by Archie Coppola, co-founder of Make It 16 Australia. Archie, g'day to you.
How are you?
Archie, we'll start off. What can you tell us about your organisation, Make It 16?
Well, it was sort of like a little brain baby between me and the other co-founder, Tabitha Stevenson-Jones. We sort of just created a small Instagram page, and then we had a little bit of traction with a few companies in Melbourne, like the FYA, and then Run For It, wanting to know a little bit more about it, and then we've received funding since. We've gone over to Melbourne, myself and Tabitha, to have a meeting with the FYA and Run For It, and we've had a lot of progress since. We've also had meetings with Stephen Bates and things like that, and it's been really good so far.
Was there a specific event or idea that prompted the creation of the organisation?
Not really. Well, as a young Australian, I have always been passionate about youth in democracy and having voice, and I've been passionate about being in the political field and things like that for quite a while now. And I thought, well, people that are young and a lot of my peers have such great ideas, but they can't have their voices heard in Parliament and they can't be represented by politicians. So I thought it's not right, as well as the fact that they are directly impacted by so many governmental decisions like roads and driving and things like that, among so many other things, like you can enlist in the military when you're 16. So, yeah.
In general, you answered a bit of that question there, but why should under 18s, especially 16 and 17-year-olds, be given the right to vote?
Yeah, well, they are impacted so detrimentally by so many things. At 16, you're given a lot of additional rights, again, with getting a learner's license in most states in Australia, except for Victoria, I think. And you can enlist in the military, you can apply for your own Medicare card, things like that. It's all directly impacted, and those decisions are made by the government, and you're also given so many more freedoms at that age, yet you can't have the decision on who makes those decisions for you.
We've seen this change being made in a number of other countries, including Scotland, Wales, Austria, I believe Switzerland as well. What impact have we seen it have abroad?
Abroad, it hasn't made too much of an impact other than the fact that they are just able to be in the democracy of the country. So it's not like it's completely changed the outcome of elections and things like that. It's just given those people an extra voice into the parliament of those countries.
We've seen the latest push this week from Stephen Bates from the Greens. He's introduced a bill to the parliament. What does this mean for your organisation?
It's actually quite good for our organisation. We have been cooperating with Stephen Bates. We are a non-partisan organisation, though we have seen pushes from politicians, and obviously when we see that push, we're going to try and work with them. And we've also seen vocal outreach from people like Monique Ryan and, again, Stephen Bates, and they're just helping us out a little bit, and they've been coordinating with us little things that we can help out for their campaigns, and we're just ecstatic to be able to help them out with that.
Unfortunately, with this bill, it does look like the major parties aren't supporting it as of right now. What would be the next step if this bill is to fail?
The next step would obviously be to gain more traction with the campaign. We want to gain a few more people once we've organised our youth action group. We want to try to build the campaign in each individual state and territory, and we might even see some action on a state level. And once a state level thing might happen, because I believe soon there'll be a bill in the ACT, and that I believe is also set to pass to allow 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds to vote. So once that happens, I believe there'll be like a snowball sort of effect in other states and territories. So that might tell the federal government, it's time now, we need to start thinking about giving younger people a vote.
What issues would under 18, 16, 17-year-olds be going to the polls with? What's most important to them?
Well, it depends on individuals and their circumstances. I think most people my age, and from my personal experience, the most major thing would probably be climate, and then there's other things like health and then housing. Young people are ever more affected by governmental issues. And we've all got strong opinions, whether you're really engaged with politics or not engaged at all. You always know that there's always going to be issues in your future. Just because of even things we learn at school, we know how difficult it's going to be to grow up in a society the way that Australia is on track to be.
You know, we've seen a lot of different proposals for this model, how it would work. You know, non-compulsory voting, compulsory voting without punishment if there isn't a vote. In your organisation's eyes, what would the system look like ideally?
Well, ideally, we would like it to be non-compulsory for 16 and 17-year-olds, though that may not be possible. We understand that the reason that Labor in, I think, 2017 didn't vote on a similar bill was because it was non-compulsory, and they said they wouldn't budge on it unless it was compulsory. And the bill that Stephen Bates put forward was compulsory with no punishment. And I think that that is what our organisation understands, and I think that that would be a good idea, though it is really up to how the government decides that. It's not an ideal for us, it's an ideal for the Australian people, really.
Archie, thank you so much for joining me today.
Easy. Thanks, Charlie.